Intel shares moving higher in early trading. Stock jumped more than 7% yesterday on a report that the Trump administration is considering taking a stake in Intel. The Trump administration had recently pressured the Intel CEO over his ties to China. Joining us now, Paul Argenti, professor of corporate communications at Dartmouth Tuck School of Business. And Professor, there's so many different ways to approach this. Should we have and always maintain the absolutist view that if the government owns the means of production, you're slip sliding away towards communism? Or are there ever one-offs or special situations, about security, about things we need? And, we don't need pharmaceutical constituents to be cut off if we're buying everything over there. So should we be doing it through an inducement rather than an actual ownership?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky to think about how this could work, but I don't think it's that slippery a slope. And it is unprecedented in terms of the marriage of politics and private enterprise, at least recently. But if you imagine back to the Second World War, this was fairly common. In other countries like Singapore, the government is more involved, and that's not communism in any way. And I think certainly semiconductors are a really strategic asset. There's no question of it. And from the perspective of the government, a national security move to strengthen our industry, supply chain, and the market likes that signal, at least for now. But government as a shareholder brings real risks, governance risks, especially with Intel's leadership already under scrutiny. And in the end, I think it comes down to execution. Capital is going to help, but they still have to deliver on their technology and the big Ohio project and regain leadership in this area for sure.
Okay, so there's governance issues. Is it better to guarantee a big $500 million loan to Solyndra, then the company goes under, but it's something the government was, I don't know whether that was a national security issue, but someone had thought that was a good idea. We didn't own part of it, but we lost, taxpayers got their, got it handed to them on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very different situation, right? But industrial policy isn't new.
Either way.
I think picking winners in real time carries risk. If Intel delivers, this is going to look like a genius visionary move. And if not, it becomes a very expensive lesson in government overreach, which I think is potentially what we're looking at here.
Right. So it's nuance once again, nuance, and it's not absolute. So I was thinking about where things like this have worked. I don't know if it's an exact parallel, but it always bothered me. Airbus always bothered me, the close ties that it had with those countries. But they make beautiful, great jets, and it didn't ruin it. I mean, I think competitively it hurt Boeing, but sometimes is it possible that it's not the worst thing in the world, and you don't end up the CCP?
No, I think that's perfectly fine. You're absolutely right. And Airbus is another great example. But as I said, as we think about the evolution of capitalism, there's nothing wrong with this as an idea if it's done well. But is it some kind of retribution because of the CEO? Is it a one-off by the Trump administration? The strategy behind it, is a little bit more questionable than if it were the Singaporean government or Airbus being supported by countries. I don't think it's in that league yet. But it's not a completely bad idea, I think is what I'm saying.
Does it, Andrew brought this up, does it undercut our standing in the world because we've been, trying to export free market capitalism, and it just looks like, when push comes to shove, we're just as bad as everybody else in getting the government involved in the private sector?
I mean, I think we have to get over that, right? It's a different world today, and the times are changing for sure. And in this particular case, this company just got too far off the rails. I mean, it's 5 years ago. If you think about it, 5 years ago, things were in much better shape than they are now for Intel. So something has to happen here. I mean, the problem is that this presents incredible risks for the company going forward, because the Trump administration is not going to be in charge forever. Another administration comes in. What does that mean? What does it mean for competition in this industry? How do other companies feel about it? There's a lot to work out here, for sure. No question about it.
I guess the slippery slope comes into, if I had to really think about it, I could argue so many different things are in our national interest to have made here. I could go steel, I could go pharmaceuticals, I could go strategic metals, I could go chips, I could go.
Paul, here's my concern. And look, it may be the right move. I'm not here to say it's the right move or the wrong move. I'm here to raise questions about what the right decision is. Right. I go back to the idea that for the last century, we have been trying, maybe unsuccessfully, but we have been trying to export a brand of what we would describe as free market capitalism, as Joe just said, to the rest of the world, and that we have been hoping to open up all these markets, frankly, to our benefit. That has been the goal. The more we do things like this, whether it's Intel or taking effectively a mini stake in NVIDIA and AMD, even though we're not taking a stake per se, but we're collecting a piece of the revenue, or we're doing these golden shares in Nippon, don't you think that other countries at some point are going to become more and more protectionist themselves? Don't you think other countries are going to say, we can't buy your goods? Doesn't it change that dynamic?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think everything the Trump administration has done around tariffs does things like that as well. Which is what I'm saying. I don't see the overall strategy coming together in a way that makes sense. But the general idea, Andrew, is not a bad one when you have a strategic asset and you're in the kind of situation that we're in right now. I mean, that's not completely out of line. And it's something that we've done before in wartime, for sure. And is this an important strategic asset? Yes. Is this company critical? Yes. So, maybe there is a silver lining here. I don't know. But I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you completely.